Hi guys, welcome back. It's Vinny and Russell again. Another episode, Data Analytics Part 4, I believe. It might be 5. I think it's 4, right? Part 4.
Yep.
Again, excited. I always open up with excited. We're always excited here at Vendo, trying to produce as much content as we can for our audience, for those new sellers, for those mature sellers. And today we're going to talk about a good topic. We're going to talk about BSR, which is bestseller ranking. It's a good indicator for success on Amazon. And we're going to dive in. Again, my name is Vinny. I'm a senior account analyst here at Vendo. I drive about, big portfolio brands. We're talking about 6-7 figures and 8-figure brands as well. Right here next to me, I have Russell. Russell, if you want to give a quick intro, that'd be great.
Hey guys, I'm Russell. I'm a project manager / data analyst at Vendo, and I work really closely with Vinny on a lot of analytics stuff and, of course, ranking, trying to make our products rank as high as possible because that's what you definitely want.
Absolutely. Thank you, Russell. And I think this topic is relative to pretty much your success on Amazon, right? When we do an audit, when we bring in new clients, we're always looking at those main key drivers to their current portfolio. And BSR is a really good indicator. And a lot of the times we know that our clients are perhaps missing the mark in terms of really understanding BSR, or perhaps they're just in that cutoff where they might be between that top 100 bestsellers and they just need that extra push, right? And that's where we as experts within Amazon come in, do an audit, right? Figure out what's happening within the account, really figure out what those drivers are doing. Inventory seems to be a big, a big indicator, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. In fact, what we're going to do is it's going to be a Q&A. I think this is a good pop quiz section here for me to test a lot of our practices. That's usually what we do at Vendo. We like to test our knowledge amongst each other just to make sure we're, pretty much up to date. And we're, again, giving out that knowledge that is not only is true to, to date in terms of how certain things are being captured on Amazon, and BSR is one of those items, one of those indexes that really pushes your velocity and sell through and success on Amazon. So Russell, real quick, can you please tell me, and sorry, I'm looking here at my notes because it's a lot of notes that we're covering here, but tell me, what's BSR? Let's break it down to our audience. I kind of touched on it, but I think you can give us a better explanation there.
Right. So when you add a product to Amazon, every single listing, it's being categorized, right? And you have large listings and small listings. Like a large listing might be, kitchen and appliances. A small listing could be very specific, like bicycle wheels. Like it's broken down into all these different categories, and every single category has a ranking. And generally, the difference between a BSR ranking versus a keyword ranking is, with BSR, there is a specific page on Amazon where you can go to, and it'll show you all the products ranking at the top of that category from 1 to 100. So if you can find that page, that means it's a BSR ranking, versus if you just type in a keyword and it shows a bunch of products, that's not the actual ranking, right? It's just a keyword ranking. So even if you show number 1 on a keyword ranking, doesn't mean that you are top of BSR in that particular category. So that's a big difference that a lot of our clients might not be very clear on. And so we always take those two metrics and show it to them separately, because BSR, there are a lot of different ways to influence it that's very different from keyword ranking. And BSR is one that probably has more indication of sell-through, but Vinny, you can correct me on that.
No. I think that's perfectly well described. I couldn't have done a better job myself. But let's say here, how do you think, obviously Amazon doesn't tell us how BSR is influenced. Obviously that's part of the algorithm, right? We know that there's so many different influences. Could you tell us perhaps a few ways in which we see BSR and certain things that are influencing BSR from our knowledge in terms of how, when we're looking at data and pretty much really good indicators as far as trends as what we've seen really influence BSR?
Right. So BSR takes a really holistic approach from our knowledge as far as like how it ranks your product. And it's in direct relationship to how you compare to your competitors as well. So a few metrics that you can look at for BSR is sales, right? And it's not just current sales. So it doesn't look at just say the past week of sales. So if your product has really good historic sales over a long period of time, even if you go out of stock or if you've had some other metric impact that your sales aren't as good as it was, you might see a drop in BSR, but it will still hold for a while at least, where Amazon is taking into account that your product is a high performer historically. And so that it's not going to drop you down automatically just because you're impacted over a small period. Another thing that does have an impact is pricing and any promotions that you might be running for a product. So we have seen this a lot where for this exact same product, we adjust the pricing. If you increase the price, you'll immediately see a jump in BSR. And that's not always something to worry about because since Amazon does take into account your sales, they make that jump immediately when you change the pricing, but then they'll reevaluate, like, how are you doing in terms of sales at this price point? How are your historical sales? So it all adjusts over time. So, if you see a huge spike in your BSR, you don't always have to be super worried, but you do need to keep track of it. That's something that we always tell our clients. We're tracking it, we're keeping an eye on it. And long-term, then we can tell you what effect it's having. So price, and then of course, promotions, where if you're running promotions and you're generating a lot of sell-through or a lot of traffic to your listing, that also has an impact on your BSR. We see that all the time, where if we put in a chart, that correlation is right there, where as soon as our promotions start running, our BSR starts decreasing, actually. That's another thing that we want to mention. For most metrics, like we say, an increase is a good thing. For BSR, we want to decrease as much as possible. And the last thing is, how are you comparing to your competitors, right? And this is something we mentioned before, where you usually, like, if you sell a product, you know who your closest competitors are. And if, say, your sales are dropping, but your competitors are also dropping, that's not going to have a huge impact on your BSR. But if your sales are dropping, but your competitors are staying the same or even increasing, that's when it really has an impact. So BSR is all about comparison with your competitors and how you're comparing to your historical sales. And yeah, that's pretty much the main metrics that we look at as far as BSR. But again, Amazon takes into account a lot of things and they don't tell us everything. So we're constantly still learning and trying to figure out what's having the biggest impact on it.
Absolutely. And those are three really great call outs there, Russell. And I appreciate you walking us through that. But I think what's most important and what would be very beneficial for our audience would be, how about an actual walkthrough, right? How about an example of searching on Amazon and letting you guys know what tools we use. Again, these tools are available to all the sellers. We use Helium 10. It's a really good indicator for us to keep track of BSR. We are so familiar with the tool. We've seen it expand and grow over the years. And to be honest, we feel that that's one of the best tools out there in terms of tracking BSR, among all the other suite of tools that they have within their package, right? But I'm going to share my screen, and I think it'll be fun for us to go through an example here. Perfect. Are you able to see my screen, Russell?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So I'm going to put this to you. Obviously, we see some products on the screen, but should we go ahead and let's go for a gaming chair? Seems like a fun topic.
Sure, let's go for it.
So let me type gaming chair. So on screen here, what you'll see is using the Helium 10 plugin right away, you'll see some initial data here. And this is exactly what Russell was talking about earlier. So Russell, can you give us an indicator of what we're seeing here?
Okay, so as you can see, there are two categories listed there. Home and kitchen is a larger category, and there are a lot of subcategories within that larger category. And generally, you're going to see for most products, they're going to be ranking more in ranking higher in the larger category, and then in those subcategories, they'll be ranking better. So, for example, that first product is ranked 342 in home and kitchen, but within the subcategory video game chairs, it's ranked number 1. And it's funny that we should be looking at gaming chairs because I actually have that exact same chair. And when I was buying it, I went through the exact same process where I looked up the ranking. I was looking at the best ranked products, and I somehow settled on this one. So it should be interesting to dive into how it does and what they did right to make me be a convert for it.
So yeah, so let's dive in. So what we normally see, obviously we're very familiar with how the listings are structured. We see the photo on the left, the title, and the price, right? Those are big indicators on what we're looking at. But for those sellers that are more mature and really want to understand BSR, this is what we're referring to. So on this widget here, provided by Helium 10, you'll see the BSR widget that is definitely segmented within different timeframes. It allows you to go 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, 1 year, all time. We normally like to do an audit when we bring in a client across all these different widgets, right? All these different time ranges. Sorry about that. So let's look at 1 year. Russell, based on these trends, what are you able to see off of BSR? Obviously, BSR here is the pink or purple line. Pricing is the blue line. And you'll see the overall list price on top.
Right. So the main thing I look at immediately is, even though I'm not calculating, I can see a correlation between the ranking and the pricing, right? If you look at those trends, whenever the price is higher, the BSR ranking also goes higher. And that goes back to what we said about comparing, because if your pricing is increasing, then compared to your competitors, you're being priced more and more, and that has an impact immediately on your BSR. The other thing is the pricing changes, but in general, the list price doesn't change, and that's because of promotions. So it all goes back to how it impacts BSR. And with promotion, it's when that new price is lower, that means that you're probably running some sort of promotion, some sort of coupon that's decreasing that price, and that has an impact on BSR. And of course, it also has an impact on traffic because people are always looking for deals, and that also has an impact on your BSR as well.
So this is a nice spike here, Russell. What do you think happened here?
So there are a lot of reasons that might go into it. So one, it might possibly be you ran out of stock. So somebody else, a different seller came in and was selling at a much higher price. There are other reasons where possibly you have some sort of price matching issue where the same product might be selling at a different price on a different marketplace, and then like a price, because some of this stuff is automatic, so your pricing changed. Yeah, so there are a lot of reasons that might go into it, but it's obvious something that we always try and keep an eye on because we don't want that price spike.
Got it. And then when we do all time, this is a good indication here of BSR through the lifetime of the listing, right? So we know that this listing launched back in 2017, and it has a really good historical data until year to date. So pretty much that's as of to today, I believe. Or no, wait, no, we have the 22nd, which is today, the day of filming. So it does have accurate data there in terms of just actuals as far as how BSR is trending on the day of, specifically 24 hours, right? This recording, you can see there is the 222, which is, and at the time it does it does give you a very close, accurate time frame there, although there is a bit of a lag, right? So just be aware of that. But as far as all time, you can see that this listing was launched back in 2017, and you can see the lifetime of this and the BSR ranking for this particular item. Overall, this particular item has been doing really well, specifically during high traffic periods. So you can see here that, let's say December, you expect for, it's a really good, it's a holiday season. You can see that the BSR there hit a really all-time low there, 300. So that's a good indication that this item does really well for holiday. And then, and that was just, when was that date there? That was 18. And then let's say we look at 19 December, right? We start looking at that. Look, it even went even better. So they did something as far as their inventory. They probably had more stock, right? And they were able to sell more, and therefore that accelerated sales rank. And you can see, let's look at the latest, which would be December 20. Look at that, 90, 64. And this 44, That's insane. And that makes sense because what's happening, especially during the time of us putting this podcast together, is pandemic, right? Everyone's at home. So what is it that most of us are turning into? We're either working remotely and we need a chair to work off of, right? So these gaming chairs are usually a good item to be at home and just be more comfortable, right? But then again, let's look at the space. The gaming space has been ridiculous. It's been similar to this graph. It's just gone up, right? So it makes sense why this item sits at 40, 50 sales rank because it just, the amount of traffic and the amount of customers that converted to this item has just been significant given the relevancy of things that are happening outside of Amazon, right? Again, pandemic, everyone's at home. So everyone wants to buy an item that they can sit comfortably and play video games in, right? So again, this is a view in terms of BSR. We can dive into it a little bit more. But in closing, do you have any tips there, Russell, as far as what our audience should be looking out for? I know that BSR, it's a big topic. There's, Amazon doesn't give us a lot of indication in terms of what influence, but perhaps, just give our audience a few tips here.
Yeah. So of course you want your listing to be of high quality. If you want to be ranked in the top 100, especially since if you click into the product category, you're going to see all your competitors and your product side by side. So immediately people can tell that difference. And we do see, like, if we have really good creative, the conversion, the traffic, we definitely see that spike there. So always make sure that your listing is of high quality. Always keep track of what your competitors are doing, what kind of promotions they're running, what kind of pricing they have. And lastly, just make sure that you are ranked in the right category. So we always have a lot of clients who have this issue where their product might not be in a category that has sufficient traffic. They might be in a category that just isn't good for their product. And since there are so many product categories available, a lot of times if you play around with it, you can find that niche, that right category where you're both appropriate for the consumer and it also has enough traffic and sales where you can make sure that you're getting that really good revenue every year.
That's amazing. Thanks, Russell. Again, in closing, thank you guys so much for listening to us for another 50 minutes of listening to Russell and I diving into how traffic, how data, given the right tools and the right strategies can help you sell more. And that's what we do at Vendo. We really have built out those strategies so that we can accelerate your growth. And BSR is a good indicator for us to really match success and definitely a goal for us to get to decrease in BSR so we can reach greater amounts of sell through and especially to your point, Russell, more views to our product. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate the time. Again, it's Vinny. We have Russell. We'll come back in a few more weeks and turn on more content, but hopefully you guys enjoy. Thanks again.